The title of the next speech is What Mom Never Told Us About the Brain. And this interesting speech will be delivered by Elena Sügis from Estonia. She's currently doing her PhD in bioinformatics and at the University of Tartu. And she's especially interested in human stem cell differentiation and aging. And through the project she's involved in, she's trying to address the basis of the brain aging.
I guess the introduction was a bit complicated. Mom never told you these words like neurodegeneration and so on. But I'm coming from the medical family, and both of my parents are doctors. So when I grew up, actually we had a lot of conversations like about how our body works, what our organs do, and so on. So when I grew up, I realized that back then I realized that our body is so complex. And it works so efficient, and it's very interesting how it was controlled. So back then I decided to learn more about it, and I became a scientist. I became a bioinformatician. And today I'm very happy to be here to tell you my ideas and my knowledge, to share my knowledge about the human brain. So we all know that the brain is extremely important part of our body, and it's also extremely complex. But what makes it extremely complex? If I would ask you to kind of tell a couple of words about the brain, what would you say? So anything. What would? What?
Mystery.
Mysteries? What about the functions? What does it do? What do you know about it?
Memory.
Do everything.
Okay, who wants chocolate? Okay, we will see. So who will name the most, I will get the chocolate. Memory, okay. I see that you guys are enthusiastic. We'll share that. So, so you're all correct. It's the brain is the center of our nervous system, right? So it controls our thoughts, our movements, our emotions, the way we perceive the world, the way we understand, and the way we learn and remember. So it weighs about 1.5 kilos, and it uses, so it's only like up to 2% of your body weight, but it actually uses 20% of its energy. So inside the brain, we have different types of cells that perform different tasks. And so from the picture you can see we have neurons that are the building blocks of the brains. They are the basic data processing units, and they allow us to learn, to sense, to think, and to physically function. So their work is to transmit information, and they communicate by sending electrical impulses to one another. In order to allow this fast and efficient communication, oligodendrocytes, these are the darker blue ones, they create myelin cover around these axons, so the long tails, these are axons. And the astrocytes, the green ones, they create blood-brain barrier and also feed hungry neurons. So the neurons are, of course, the rock stars of the brain, but without oligodendrocytes and astrocytes, there wouldn't be no show at all. And in order to carry out so many tasks, like our brain does, it has to have quite a lot of neurons. So do you know how many neurons are there in the brain? Yes, so this is, okay, here we go. Okay, and there are, sorry, there are 100 billion neurons and even more astrocytes. So the majority of your nerve cells in the brain and spinal cord, they're born before the birth, and these cells will last you a lifetime. So now you should start feeling sorry for yourself, because we all experience stress, sleep deprivation, aging, sometimes disease, and it all can kill your neurons, right? So up to some time in the past, it was believed that like once But the brain cells could not be regenerated, and once they're dead, like you lose them forever. So it sounds pretty depressing. And okay, right now we shouldn't feel depressed because the good news is coming. So our brain actually has the capacity to regenerate itself. But, however, it's not that simple. So the idea of regenerating the tissues is not new in animals. You probably all heard or saw yourself how the lizard actually loses its tail and like growing a new one. It's a completely new body part. Like think how it would be useful to grow a new hand or leg or the brain. So we as humans, of course, want to regenerate our own body parts and repair them. In fact, our body is also capable of self-repairs. We, of course, not so advanced as lizards. We don't grow like extra legs or something. But it's also capable of something. If you accidentally cut your finger, your skin will actually repair itself, and the broken bone will grow back together. And your gut and liver has the same possibility, so to regenerate. Our body has this property thanks to the cells called stem cells. And these are the cells in human body that have a unique ability to renew themselves and become specialized cells of the body that do the work in the body. Stem cells remain unspecialized until the signal from the body comes and tell them to become some specific cell type, like skin cell or muscle cell or neuron, any type of cell. So these cells can really become anything they want. And in 1998, Fred Gage and colleagues discovered that in our hippocampus, even when we are old, adults, exist so-called neural stem cells. Why these cells are cool is because they can differentiate. This is the fancy word that biologists used to say, like, to become something. So they can differentiate into any type of brain cells. Okay. So given this remarkable property, to differentiate into all types of nerve cells, it doesn't take a long time to realize what a great potential these cells can offer to treat diseases and repair the damaged brain parts. So now, how we know that our brain, now when we know that our brain is actually able to repair itself or to produce new brain cells, are we safe? Do we really have to stress about our neurons? What do you think? Like, think about it. Like, we can actually like produce some brain cells. We know about it, but what it will say? So it's well, it's yes and no. It's both. It's not that simple. Neural stem cells are very vulnerable. This first of all, and to the effects of alcohol, drugs, and exposure to radiation. And unfortunately, brain-owned capabilities is not enough in many cases, like including neurodegenerative disorders. And in this case, essentially what we can do to help the brain to produce new neurons, we can tell him to produce new neurons to repair the damages or to grow new neurons and insert them into the brain. So in the first case, we have to study the process that how neural stem cell becomes neuron, and apply this knowledge in practice. But what about the second task? How can we grow neurons ourselves? So in 2006, researchers made breakthrough discoveries showing that some specialized cells can be actually reprogrammed to become a stem cell-like cell. It means that we can, for example, take your skin cell, add some chemical cocktail, and convert it into completely different type of cells. So these new cells, so these reprogrammed cells, are called induced pluripotent stem cells, or IPS cells. And these cells gain the property of stem cells. So it can become anything it wants. It can become anything it wants, including neurons. What it means is that we can take your skin cell and convert it into a neuron. So how cool is that? That is. Let's imagine that we were able to grow new neurons and inject them into the brain, into the damaged area of the brain. But will it actually solve the problems of fixing the brain? We're coming back to this question. So we injected the neurons. Will it solve the problem? We have the new neurons. Why not?
Because we need the connection.
Yes, so potentially we would expect that, yeah. So Nuno is right. So during your lifetime, neurons are learning to perform certain tasks. And here's the problem, that if we simply insert fresh neurons, they wouldn't have the memory of the old ones. And so because they haven't been with you for all your life, right, they don't know the task. So if we simply inject them into the brain, we might get a really silly brain like that. But we want a smart brain. So in this case, we hope that the brain itself will teach new neurons. It has been shown that the healthy areas of the brain sometimes take over the functions from the damaged areas. And this brain property is called neuroplasticity. So we believe that the brain will be able to rewire itself and teach new neurons to perform needed tasks. It will be especially important in case of neurodegenerative disorders, like Alzheimer's disease, to compensate the loss of neurons and therefore recover some of the lost functions. So Alzheimer's disease is one of the neurodegenerative disorders that is usually associated with aging, and it affects nearly 50% of adults over 85 years old. And the symptoms are often taken as age-related concerns, so that makes it difficult to diagnose. And it starts in the brain area called hippocampus, and that is responsible for memory, and eventually spreads to the other regions, causing neuronal loss. Alzheimer's patients experience personality changes, memory failure, and problems carrying out daily activities. So they rely a lot on their caregivers, usually their families. And the costs of caring for Alzheimer's patients is times higher than treating a cancer patient. So as a society, we have to really think about it. Disease worsens as it progresses, and eventually it leads to death. And the ultimate problem is that the mechanisms of this disease are not really understood, and there is no cure for the disease. So what is actually happening inside the diseased brain is the formation of two abnormal structures called plaques and tangles. They are the prime suspects of damaging and killing nerve cells. So in normal aging, people also tend to develop these plaques and tangles, but in smaller quantities. Here they're huge. And usually the disease starts in hippocampus, as I said, and it spreads in a predictable pattern. So scientists do not know really the exact roles of plaques and tangles, but the most experts agree that they block the communication among neurons and disrupt the process that cell needs to survive. So the death of nerve cells causes memory failure and the other symptoms of the Alzheimer's disease. So we as scientists, of course, want to understand and what triggers the disease and how we can cure it. Currently, our research group is involved in the European project called Aged Brain Sees Bio. And the goal of the project is to understand the differences of brain aging in healthy and diseased brain, and discover new potential drug targets for the disease. So human-induced pluripotent stem cells offer a unique opportunity to create live patient-specific models of the disease, including neurodegenerative disorders. So one way to understand how neurons are different in healthy and sick persons is to take, for example, some cells from both of them, reprogram them to IP cells, and grow neurons. And let's say that we get the happy neuron for the healthy person and unhappy neuron for the sick person. What we want to do next is to take different measurements on healthy and happy and unhappy neurons. And after that, we use the statistical power and computational tools to compare these measurements. This way, we will know what makes happy neurons happy and how to make unhappy neurons happy. So that we hope that one day we'll be able to do so, to convert the unhappy to happy. So in the end, I would like to give you some good news and some bad news. So I'll start from the good news. The good news is that now we know that regenerative abilities of our brain is far greater than it was believed. And we can create neurons from other cells and potentially use them to treat the damaged areas of the brain. So we hope that the brain plasticity will help us to teach neurons to carry out specific functions, and we will be able to improve these treated brain areas, and that adult-generated neurons can be used to understand and potentially cure degenerative disorders like Alzheimer's disease. However, there is a long way before we will master the brain repairs, and the bad news is that the brain's own capabilities is not enough to repair itself, as we think, and the applications of neural stem cells are also very restricted because they are so vulnerable to effects of alcohol, drugs, and radioactive exposure. This is the major one. So. And currently, unfortunately, we don't know how to tell the brain to produce new neurons. And if we know so, that we don't know how to grow the smart brain. However, I believe that we need to study neural stem cells and their applications, like to get the most of what they can offer for regenerative medicine. And I also believe that by combining and sharing our knowledge and ideas, we will be able to make the world a better place. And in the end, I want to show you this citation. I really like it. So the brain is a commodity to use to fertilize ideas. So fertilize your ideas and share them. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Elena. Any questions?
Yeah. Okay.
I read once that meditation can improve the capacity of brain and also kind of damage improve the damaged parts of the brain. There was some kind of research of neurosciences research where they took, I don't know, a couple of groups, one that didn't do meditation and the other that did, and it shows significantly changes in gray mass of hippocampus and this part of brain. Have you heard anything about that meditation? Because that is something that was when they did this meditation. After that, they were scanned and on MRI.
I could think about like stress reduction, for example, and this would also, and there is a lot of research just about the healthy lifestyle and how it impacts your like brain functioning. And I would say that it might be.
Yeah, not only reduction of stress, but kind of making a brain capable to kind of renew in. Well, maybe my question wasn't, I didn't make it well.
No, I'm not
Just you
familiar
don't
with
have the
neuroadaptation.
information. You don't have the information that this can help regenerating.
It's a bit out of my scope.
Okay. 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 Thank you.